Today we're going to be taking a look at how do we order rational numbers. Specifically, we're looking at decimals. In our next lesson, we're going to take a look at how do we order them when they are fractions. So let's take a look at rational numbers to start. So let's again think back to the previous lesson that we had on types of numbers. Rational numbers are any type of number that can be described by a fraction. Now we can list those as fractions, mixed numbers, or decimals. And today specifically, or in this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at decimals, okay, and how we can describe them using decimals. Now, between each integer, there are an infinite number of placeholders. And when I say infinite, we're talking about, we can't actually, in our minds, we can't really wrap our heads around it, but we can kind of describe any single place between any integer with decimals. Okay? These are usually referred to, again, as I said, decimals. Okay, and each decimal place has a name, and the farther from the decimal, the smaller the value is. So let's take a look at a number right here, and we're just going to go through and we're going to name a couple of these here. So before the decimal, remember this is the ones place, and you maybe remember going through this in previous math classes. This is the ones, this is the tens. Okay? Now when we go past the decimal place, this is tenths. Okay? And as a fraction, that represents 1/10. Actually, sorry, this would actually be 3/10. Okay, because there's 3/10. If you want to think of it as a decimal, it's kind of why we say tenths. And we'll talk about converting these in a later lesson as well. The next one is hundredths. You know, it's not hundreds, it's hundredths. Just like this is in tens, it's tenths. Okay, this is thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. Okay, each one has a very specific name, and everyone has a very specific value. Okay. As we get farther down, each one becomes smaller as well. So this represents like 3/10, okay, which would be like if we cut a pizza into 10 pieces and we would have 3 of them. That's what that 3 represents. And again, I'm using pizzas as a reference. It works really good with fractions. We can use it for decimals as well. The hundredths category, this represents 1/100th of the total. So this one here would represent if we were to cut a pizza into 100 pieces, and then we would get 1 of them. Now we usually often put these together. So if we put the 3 and the 1 together, okay, it's 31/100ths. Okay, we can combine those. So that would mean we'd have 31 pieces. This 0.31 represents 31 pieces out of 100. This would represent 1,000 pieces, this would be 10,000 pieces, this would be 100,000 pieces that we're cutting into, and we can determine how many of those pieces do we actually have. So that's one way of just kind of going through what are decimals. Now again, remember that it always represents something smaller, okay, as we get farther down. Now I'm going to want you to start with question 1. Okay, question 1 deals all with finding greater and less than, what numbers are bigger and what numbers are less than. And question 1 just deals with some very basic numbers, and then we will get into question 2 in just a little bit.